Welcome to this deep dive. Okay, so we're jumping straight into your sources today, all about RC vehicles, radio-controlled cars and trucks, and specifically how they kind of act as this amazing hands-on masterclass for learning real-world mechanical skills.
Right, and we need to be really clear for you from the start. We aren't talking about those cheap, disposable toy-grade models you see everywhere. No, no. This skill transfer, it really only happens with the hobby-grade stuff. Why? Well, because they're modular, they're repairable, you actually tune them.
Exactly. They basically mirror full-size mechanical systems, just, smaller.
And the big insight we pulled from the sources, it's maybe not what you'd expect. It's not primarily physical, like just learning to turn a wrench. It's more cognitive. You're essentially building the mechanic's mind, but you're doing it in a really safe, low-pressure setting.
Yeah, like a simulator for figuring stuff out where if you mess up, it's no big deal. Almost zero cost to fail.
And what's really cool is how that RC environment forces you into a diagnostic mindset.
Yeah.
Say your truck breaks down mid-run. You can't just toss it. You kind of have to start this systematic process, the diagnostic loop.
Okay, let's walk through that. Like your RC car suddenly won't steer. What do? You've got to isolate it, right? Is the transmitter signal okay? Did the servo, that little motor moving the wheels, did that just die?
Or maybe it's simpler, like a bent linkage rod or something. And doing that over and over, that's where the real learning kicks in. You might troubleshoot dozens of little failures really fast. And that sheer volume of practice in a low-stakes way, it builds up this diagnostic muscle memory.
So later, when something totally different breaks your lawnmower, maybe?
Yeah, or anything.
Yeah.
Your brain kind of automatically jumps to that structured approach you learned. Okay, what's missing? Fuel, spark, air, power.
That makes sense. And there's that attention to detail part too, which the source has highlighted. You learn precision matters, sometimes the hard way, like setting the gear mesh, the gap between the motor gear and the main gear, too tight.
Right, you get heat, strain, maybe putting something out, too loose.
And you just shred the gear teeth. Click, 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 done.
Exactly. Or discovering why you need that blue thread locking stuff.
Oh, yeah, the Loctite.
Yeah, to stop screws vibrating loose. Tiny detail, but it translates directly to keeping bolts tight on, well, anything that shakes. Bikes, engines, whatever.
So it bridges into bigger ideas too, like miniature physics, right? The sources really hit on how RC makes complex stuff like suspension feel tangible.
The damping example is perfect for that. You learn firsthand why worn-out shocks on a real car make it feel bouncy.
How?
Well, by literally changing the shock oil inside the RC shocks. You swap out, say, thin 30-weight oil for thicker 50-weight, and you immediately feel the difference in how the suspension reacts. It's direct sensory feedback.
Okay, I see. That's where you start building that mechanical empathy you mentioned, feeling how the machine responds.
Precisely, and drivetrain knowledge transfers beautifully, too. You change the pinion gear, the small one on the motor.
Right, swap it for a bigger or smaller one.
And you instantly see the trade-off. Gear ratio versus torque versus top speed. You learn why a lower gear gives you more pulling power, more torque.
Which makes it obvious why a real car uses its lowest gear, first gear, to get moving from a stop. High torque needed right then.
It demystifies those trade-offs. Speed costs torque. More control might mean less raw speed. It's all connected.
Okay, but we absolutely have to put the brakes on a bit here. The sources are clear. The analogy has limits, a big one. While that thinking process, the diagnostic loop, scales up. The physical reality and the danger. Totally different ballgame.
Hugely different. And this brings up a key point from the sources. Safety. RC risks are, maybe a tiny burn from a battery, annoying but minor, working on a real car. The risks are potentially lethal. There's absolutely one rule that cannot be broken, and the sources hammer this home. Never, ever work under a car that's only held up by a jack. Ever. You must use properly rated jack stands, period.
Non-negotiable. That's the critical line between the hobby training ground and the real deal.
Right. And there's also the digital complexity gap. An RC electronic speed controller, the ESC, is pretty basic, just manages power to the motor.
But a modern car's computer, the ECU.
Oh, that's a whole different universe.
Oh.
Juggling engine timing, fuel mix emissions, sensors galore. Your RC skills give you almost zero prep for diagnosing that. You need specialized computer scanners, OBD22s.
Okay, good points to keep in mind.
Definitely. So wrapping this up for you, what's the big takeaway? Maybe the single greatest benefit from messing with hobby-grade RC is how it just dismantles the intimidation factor on mechanics.
Yeah, it swaps out that fear of the unknown, complex machine.
With a more intuitive grasp of why things work, why they break, and how different systems actually interact.
Right. So, our final thought for you, kind of building on that whole shock oil thing and feeling the difference, the deepest lesson here isn't just how to turn a wrench, it's developing what the source is called mechanical empathy.
Yeah. That ability to almost interpret the machine's language, its sounds, its vibrations, how it behaves, understanding what it's telling you about its health.
Yeah.
And that skill, that sensory connection, that's invaluable, truly, no matter how big or small the machine is.